Blair here. Great to have you join me this morning for 10 minutes of morning calm. And today we're taking a look at want and wanting and how all that comes together and what's the good and the bad of it. And I want to start out by saying this, we all want things. I mean, clearly in life that is part of love. When we love things, we want things. We want things for other people. We want things for ourselves. And much of that is very good. And then there's times, of course, where that wanting gets the better of us, and that's where we slide into all kinds of things that aren't so terrific, or not the better parts of human nature. And Christian New Church Theology offers this in terms of what these battles are, and this is all within the context of a beautiful story. Abram traveling to the promised land. He comes through this land filled with giants, and again, think a beautiful mythology here with a deep core of truth in it. And those giants, those challenges are all about selfishness and materialism. And if you think of it, folks, like what words might we use today? Well, we might just call it narcissism and materialism. I think we probably would still use that word, but it's kind of where narcissism and materialism kind of merge together, and it really becomes all about us and our stuff. He who dies with the most toys wins, kind of thing, where we're just accumulating, and there's never any thought of use, and that's a critical piece of New Church theology, that use is, it's fine to have those things. The question is, what are you going to do with it? What do you see? What do you see in terms of how you can help the world with those things? And when want gets going too far, it has no concern about that. All it wants to do is to accumulate for the sense of accumulation. Now, an idea here that's kind of interesting is when we come from that love of really deep narcissism, deep selfishness, and deep materialism, is just constantly trying to accumulate stuff just for our own aggrandizement, not for any service towards others or any use out there into the world. It's interesting because it creates its own, this is what we're warned against, it creates its own logic, and it creates its own truth. And this is what my deep want is. We never question if that want's a good want or a bad want. And then it just grows and grows and grows. And we build up a whole paradigm, a whole way to rationalize all of that. And that's really tricky. That's a tough thing to look at. And again, so much of pastoral work and spiritual work is for us all to be in the conversation, both around the really good parts and around the danger signs, the danger signs where we're just getting off track. And this is one of them. This is one of the danger signs. When we just get into that way too much, and we're not thinking about the usefulness of it. And what we're starting to do is we're starting to justify it. And that's why it's very hard to argue people out of things, because their love will create something, a certain way of thinking that sometimes is true, but sometimes is actually false. That's why we need to constantly be seeing this. And it's, again, very hard to do with changing other people. But at the very least, we can consistently work on it with ourselves and constantly be checking ourselves around these things. And that's why this is one of the easiest checks out there. And it's encapsulated in one of the 10 Commandments. Richard Rohr said in a great sermon that I listened to, he said it's one of the least preached on of the 10 Commandments. He thought it was the one he said he's never heard it preached on. So we preached it a few years ago because I think it really matters. And that's the thou shalt not covet. That's what we want to watch. And that's an important red flag that we're kind of in this danger zone of narcissism and materialism that's not looking towards use, that's just looking towards ourselves. If we covet, if we're constantly thinking about, oh, I want what they have, or I deserve what they have, that's really tricky. And Christian New Church Theology says where you want to be is at peace. Swinburne calls it peace with our lot. In other words, I'm at peace with my life as it is. And it'll have good days. It'll have bad days. Some days I may well have more. Some days I may well have less. Doesn't really matter. My job is just to really be at peace and not constantly agitated about things. That's what matters. So it's thou shalt not covet. So that's the takeaway, folks. Like if you find yourself sort of looking at someone else's life or looking what someone else has and thinking, oh boy, I really want that. I want to like possess it. we want to be careful. Again, we can look at what other people have and go like, well, that's a nice car. I wouldn't mind having a car like that. I think we can do that at a very superficial, light level. But if it starts settling down into your heart where you're really kind of looking at it thinking like, oh, I really want that and I'll do anything to get it, that's where the danger signs will be. So, folks, have a day of not coveting. Do not look at other people's stuff and think, boy, I wish I could have that. Be content with your lot as best you can. And notice that there are wants that are very healthy. And the healthiest of wants are ones where we want things and we want them in order to have this end purpose, which is always about use and usefulness and service, looking out there into the world. So that's the thought for today, friends. And what we are going to do now we're going to do a little prayer, a little meditation. Well, meditation first, then a prayer, then a blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on social media. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. And a meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks and see what people have to say. All right, let me find a little Facebooky thing here. All right, there we go. Our comment there from Mary Haney, and it seems that those with little are the most giving and sharing what they do. It's so true, Mary. You know, it's a beautiful story of the widow's mite in the Bible, and certainly have seen so much generosity from people who don't have a lot to give, but give what they have, which is pretty powerful to watch. All right. All right, a few more comments here, friends. Linda, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well. Marcus, good morning, buddy. Hope you're doing a good day. Sherry writes, good morning from 28-degree Tallulah Gorge, Georgia. Have a beautiful weekend. Wow, 28 degrees. It was that chilly out here in Philadelphia today as well. So, friends, God bless. Wishing you all the very best. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.